Hey, my name is Amardeep, and this is one of the most unique drums in the world. It's called a tabla, originates from India, and is often referred to as the speaking hands drum because it has this amazing ability to actually mimic human speech by producing various tones, all manipulated with your fingers. So I'll give you an example. I'll say some phrases, obviously in human speech, and I'll play it on the tabla so you can actually get an appreciation of what I mean. So, dati dage dinna ginna, ditte titte, dara ginna, datrikir 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 da. So, as you can see, I said some phrases, and the sounds that are produced from the tabla sounds very close to what I said. So that's the tabla. This video is just a overview on what the tabla is, the different parts of the tabla, as well as how to sit and how to position your hands on the tabla in case you were wanting to actually learn this amazing instrument. And as you can see, they're actually comprised of two separate drums. There's this bass drum as well as a higher pitched sounding drum. In Hindi, this is known as the baya for bass. And this is known as the daya. In Punjabi, this is known as the dagga, and this is the chatu. So as you can see here, there's skin on the top of both tablas. This is traditionally made with animal skin. Nowadays, they're making it with synthetic skin as well. And there's three rings, essentially, an outer, middle, and inner ring. This is known as the kinar, the medan, and the shahi. This is made of ink and metal and is what actually produces a lot of the resonance and allows the tones to change. So we've got the skin here. We've got something called the gazra, which is woven into the top part of the skin, and then they've got these strings here called the daval, which is what's pulling it down and fixes onto the bass, and essentially is what allows us to play the tabla. We've also got these wooden pegs here. These are called gatte. This is used in order to change the tone and the pitch of the tabla. So hitting it up or down allows it to either make it a higher or lower pitch sound, and then hitting on the gazra allows you to fine tune it. As you can see with the dagga, there's a metal base. This is often made of steel, brass, or copper. And with the chatu, this is made of wood. This is fairly heavy as well as this one. They're usually 3 to 4, 5, 6 kilos. And then we've finally got the rings. These are called the bine. This is the seat of the tabla. If you didn't have this and you were playing it, it's going to be moving everywhere, right? So this is essentially the seat, so that the tablas don't move around too much. And then we've also got a couple of other things. We've got the covers for the tablas. These are important to make sure that you're actually maintaining it. Like all instruments, you want to maintain it. You want to make sure that it doesn't get damaged. If you were to just leave this out in the sun or leave it in a sunny place, it'll start to tighten the skin, and then it risks it actually ripping. Alternatively, if you're leaving it out in the wind or rain or whatever it is, it's going to completely destroy the tabla. So that's why we need these covers, essentially. We've got Thor's hammer. I say that jokingly, but this is actually called a thori, which means hammer, and this is what's used to actually tune the tabla. And lastly, we've got baby powder. This doesn't come as part of the tabla set, but what we use it for is essentially if our hands start to sweat, whether it's because of the environment, whether it's because of us performing, or if we've just got unfortunately naturally sweaty hands, then we use this to make sure that the sweat and the water isn't actually affecting the skin, or most importantly bleeding into the shahi, because that then starts to destroy and close the sound. So that was just an overview of the tabla. Just in recap, you've got the dagga and the chatu, the bass drum, the high pitched drum, and the rings. We've got the outer ring, which is called the kinar, the middle ring, which is called the medan, and then the inner ring, which is called the shahi. Now we'll move into the posture and then how to place your hands on the tabla. And then after that, we can actually move into the first beginner lesson. So now you can also notice the position of the tabla. It's sitting in the middle of our body, and there's a 2-finger gap between both of them. So that's the first thing. Now with the dagga, as you can see with the medan, there's a narrow part and then also a wider part. This is with all daggas and bayans. So what you want to make sure is that the narrow part of the dagga is actually facing at a 45-degree angle. And instead of keeping it, completely upright, it's okay to, keep it at a slight angle. With the chatu, it's very much the same thing. So we want to make sure that this faces at a slight angle as well, maybe like a 20 to 30 degree angle. And we just want to put our hand on it, and it allows us to create a little bit of a slant. This is to keep our wrist high. So now what we're going to do is just fix up our hand positioning on both of the dagga as well as the chatu. And what we're going to do is just focus on the dagga first. With this one, cup your hand so it's making like a semicircle / arch structure. And what we're going to do is make sure that it's facing at a 45-degree angle with the middle finger in the middle of the dagga. And then what you're just going to do is just bring your hand back so that your wrist is sitting on the medan and just underneath the shahi. You don't want it too far back. You don't want it sitting on the medan, on the shahi. You want it sitting just underneath this black part in the middle section here, and then cup the hand. This is what's going to produce the sound called ge, which is an open sound, and it's effectively the bass. So striking with the middle finger into the medan and then pulling up will produce that sound called ge. If we were to play ge repeatedly, we're going to alternate between the middle finger and the index finger. So if you just put those two fingers down like that, each of them are just going to strike in their respective positions. So we'll play ge ge. That's how you play ge. Now to play ke, pretty simple, just let your hand fall down onto the tabla. Let it slap and then use these first 4 fingers to strike onto the kinar. Pretty simple. All you're doing is just letting the hand fall from the wrist, slap onto the tabla, feel like you're like squishing out all the air, and with those first 4 fingers, that's slapping onto the kinar. To play ke repeatedly, so ke, what we'll do is alternate between these 3 fingers and then the index finger. So first ke slaps down with these 3 fingers, and then the next one slaps with the index finger. So that's the hand placement and how to play some of the basic sounds on the dagga. Now we'll focus on the chatu. So again, put your hand at a 45-degree angle with the middle finger right in the center of the chatu, and then just start to pull it back so that your ring finger is sitting over here. If we were to treat this as a clock, this would be 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. What we're doing is pulling it back, pulling the hand back so that the ring finger is sitting on the medan underneath the shahi at about 5 o'clock. Make sure that the pinky finger is just resting next to it. This is just lightly touching the medan. You're not stressing or pushing down on it or anything. It's just lightly touching. With the ring finger next to it, middle finger left in the air, and then we're going to use our index finger, the first 2 pads here of the finger, to strike down onto the kinar over at about 7 o'clock. So as you can see, the wrist is high. There is a gap with the bridge of the hand. It's not resting on the kinar or the gazra. There is a gap in between here, and all we're doing is just using our wrist motion to strike down onto the kinar. So the finger raises up a little bit, and then you're going to use the wrist to create some force to strike down onto the kinar. So this is ta. There's two more sounds that we're going to learn, which is ti and te. So you're going to use the middle finger now. You're going to just move the ring finger a little bit higher up and allow the middle finger to come down and strike in the center of the shahi. This is known as ti. And then if we were to bring the index finger down and lift the middle finger up, this is the placement of the. So ti, the, ti, the, ti, the. As you can tell, middle finger is coming down, index finger is going up, and then when we want to play the middle finger goes back up. Ti, the. That's how you play the te. And these are the basic sounds that we have learnt on the daga as well as the chatu, and which is now going to be used in our next lesson, which is going to be learning a beginner qaida.